She called it sibling rivalry. I called it survival. Now she's lying in a hospital bed, and I can't shake the feeling that maybe this was the only way things could end. If this made your day easier, make mine better with a quick like and subscribe. Thank you. My sister once had her friends jump me, then turned around and lied straight to our dad's face about it. And the worst part? He believed her. When I finally broke down and told him the truth, he just sighed and said, "Your sister loves you. She'd never do that." Yesterday, that same sister turned around and accused him of abuse. Now my dad, the man who defended her at every turn, is in trouble with the law. Growing up, there was one rule in our house: never hit a woman. That was drilled into me from day one, and it was never an issue, until my 12th birthday. See, my older sister had been beating on me for years. One night, I had this horrible nightmare. My parents' door was locked, so I curled up outside her room, just wanting the comfort of knowing my big sister was nearby. I woke up with bruises all over me the next morning. She'd beaten me simply because I'd blocked her doorway. By the time I turned 12, I was sick of it. One night, I slipped on the stairs and made a loud thud. She stormed down, furious I'd woken her, and kicked me in the back of the legs. But this time I snapped. I grabbed her ankle and pinched it as hard as I could. And yet, instead of satisfaction, I felt this crushing guilt. I actually cried, feeling like a terrible brother, and then let her hit me back 10 times harder. And my parents? Don't get me wrong, I love them, but I know they saw the bruises. I know they heard me crying late at night. But they did nothing. In their eyes, it was just a girl hitting a boy. To the outside world, my sister looked like the perfect older sibling. When we'd cross the street, she'd throw her arm out in front of me to protect me. She'd rush ahead to hold doors open for strangers. Everyone thought she was this caring, protective angel. It made me sick. But if there was one silver lining, it was my body. I funneled all that pain and anger into the gym. By 16, I was ripped, starting varsity football, and finally too big for her to lay a hand on me. I wanted a real relationship with her, a fresh start. And for a moment, I thought I might get it. Because when I heard she was dating Malik, a smooth-talking guy from her grade, I kept my eye on him. At first, he seemed fine. But within 3 weeks, he cheated on her with her best friend. She found out through a disgusting Snapchat video. I was right there when she got it. She broke down crying, but me? I tracked his location and told her to get in the car. When we pulled up to his house, she knocked on the door. I barged past her best friend and found Malik leaning against the hallway wall. I didn't go overboard, I didn't want jail time, but I beat him until he gasped out, "Vanessa is my queen." My sister's name. Only then did I stop. On the drive back, I nearly crashed from laughing so hard, while she kept replaying that awful video. For the first time in years, I thought, maybe this was it. Maybe we'd finally rebuilt our bond. But nope. A week later, she was back with him. When I asked what the hell she was thinking, she just said, "Everyone deserves a second chance, plus it'll make my ex-best friend jealous." I told her flat out, if he hurts her again, I'm not getting involved. She sulked the whole night. 2 days later, our parents weren't home. There was a knock at the door. It was Vanessa. I opened it, and immediately 2 guys I didn't know started wailing on me. Fists slamming into my head, my ribs. I felt blood pouring down my face. They only stopped when they heard a car pull into the driveway, my dad. Vanessa's voice rang out, fake panic in her tone. "Oh my gosh, what happened?" She acted like she'd just arrived, like she hadn't set it up. My dad rushed in, pale as a ghost. I ended up in the hospital, concussion, fractured rib, dislocated shoulder. When Vanessa stepped out to use the bathroom, I finally told Dad the truth. I begged him through tears, "She's been hitting me since we were kids. These bruises? They're all from her." I didn't even want her punished. I just wanted him to believe me. Instead, he put his hand on my shoulder and whispered, "Son, your sister loves you. She'd never do that. Get some rest." And that was the moment I realized. To him, the truth didn't matter. When I came to, the room was dim and my uncle was sitting beside me. His face was calm, but his eyes carried that weighty concern only family can give. After the usual, "How are you feeling?" Small talk, he leaned in closer, so close I could feel his breath warm against my ear, and whispered, "Your father believes you. We all do." I blinked, confused. My father? The same man who had brushed off my cries, telling me my sister loved me? My uncle nodded, as if reading my thoughts. The attack had finally cracked something open. My father, bound for years by that never hit a woman rule, was ready to face reality. Later, Miss Patel, the CPS worker assigned to our case, sat me down in the living room. She carried a thick manila folder, so stuffed it looked like it could spill secrets onto the floor at any moment. She placed it on her lap, her expression carefully neutral. My eyes darted toward the stairs, but Vanessa was nowhere to be seen. The family photos on the wall, smiling faces frozen in happier times, suddenly felt like they belonged to strangers. "This may be difficult," Miss Patel said softly, her voice steady but firm, "but I need to ask you some questions about your home life." My ribs ached with every heartbeat. Sitting upright on the couch was agony, the cushions swallowing me in ways that made me feel smaller, weaker. My fingers fiddled with a loose thread on my jeans. "What exactly did my sister tell you?" I asked, the bitterness in my voice betraying me. Her eyebrow arched. "I'd rather hear your perspective first." The pen in her hand clicked, ready to etch my words into permanence. I took a shaky breath, pain radiating through my side. The hum of the air conditioning filled the silence, a constant reminder of how loud my own thoughts were. For the next hour, I laid it all bare. The years of beatings. The lies. The hospital visits. Even the videos on Vanessa's phone, her laughing about setting me up. My throat went raw and sometimes I had to stop, choking back tears before pushing forward again. Miss Patel scribbled notes, her pen scratching softly against paper. Somehow, that quiet sound was comforting. Proof. Proof someone was finally listening. Then came the question that made my chest tighten. Your sister claims your mother struck her. Is that true? I nodded, the memory sharp as glass. The kitchen had smelled of dinner, garlic, onions, steam rising from pots. Vanessa had shoved Mom into the counter so hard the sound still echoed in my head. Mom, in shock and fury, had slapped her once across the face. Not hard. Not enough to even leave a mark. Just reflex. Miss Patel's face didn't change, but her pen moved quickly. She asked about where I'd been staying, and I admitted I just moved back yesterday. My room didn't even feel like mine anymore. Do you feel safe here now? She asked. The question sat heavy in the air. Did I? This was the same house, same creaky steps, same framed pictures, but it all felt poisoned. Before I could answer, a knock sounded at the door. My dad's relieved voice carried down the hall. Travis, come in. Uncle Travis stepped into the living room, his presence grounding me immediately. The couch dipped as he sat beside me, the familiar scent of pine and spice from his aftershave washing over me. He shook Miss Patel's hand, introduced himself, and with his usual calm strength confirmed everything I'd said. He scrolled through his phone, showing her text messages, photos of damage, even bruises on my mom's arms. Miss Patel's face faltered for the first time as she looked at the evidence. Then, bam. A door upstairs slammed. Vanessa appeared, wild-eyed, hair tangled, fury radiating from her. You're all lying. She screamed, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. They've been abusing me. I had to defend myself. Her fists clenched, spit flying from her mouth. Miss Patel rose calmly but with authority. Miss Horvat, I'll speak with you separately. But Vanessa wasn't done. Her eyes locked onto me, venom in every ounce of her glare. He's always been the favorite. They let him get away with everything while punishing me. Her voice cracked. Dad stepped forward, his voice low. Vanessa, that's enough. But she snapped. With a scream, she ripped a framed photo off the wall and hurled it. The frame spun through the air, glass shattering against the hardwood as Dad ducked. The silence afterward was deafening. Miss Patel positioned herself between us and Vanessa, her voice commanding now. Miss Horvat, calm down immediately. And just like that, Vanessa shifted. Her body folded in on itself, tears sliding down her face. Her lip quivered as she whispered, see how they make me feel? I'm scared all the time. The performance was Oscar-worthy. Even I almost bought it. Miss Patel was gathering her notes when Uncle Travis pulled out his phone again. There's something else you need to see. He hit play. The screen lit up with video of Vanessa screaming at Mom, shoving her hard into the counter. Mom flinched, backing away until she couldn't anymore. Then, reflexively, Mom slapped her. Vanessa froze, the color draining from her face. Where did you get that? Dad's voice was quiet. Sad. Cameras. After your brother went to the hospital, I had to protect this family. Miss Patel's jaw tightened. She snapped the folder closed. I've seen enough for today. Before leaving, she pulled me aside. Her eyes softened. We'll investigate fully. In the meantime, do you have somewhere safe to stay? I looked at Uncle Travis. He gave a firm nod. Yeah, I whispered. That night, I packed my bags again. The silence in the house was suffocating, broken only by the sound of my zippers and the creak of the floorboards. Vanessa locked herself away. Mom hugged me tight at the door, her voice breaking with apology. Dad's eyes were bloodshot, but his hand on my shoulder was firm. We're going to fix this. As Uncle Travis drove us away, the porch light glowed behind us, making the house look almost peaceful. A lie in the darkness. What happens now? I asked. His knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. CPS will finish their investigation. Your parents are asking for family therapy. And they're looking at residential treatment for Vanessa. The words hit me like a weight. Sending her away. The idea was both a relief and a sadness I couldn't untangle. I pressed my forehead against the window, watching the streetlights flicker past in rhythmic shadows. Despite everything, I didn't hate her. I just wanted the pain to stop. The days that followed blurred together, CPS interviews, doctor checkups, and awkward silences at home. I tried throwing myself back into school, into football, anything that felt normal. The echo of footsteps in familiar hallways, the smell of pencil shavings and cafeteria food, it was grounding even as whispers followed me. Coach Madison noticed I was off. One afternoon after drills, he walked over. Sweat glistened on his forehead under his faded cap. Family stuff, huh? He asked, his voice gruff but kind. I fumbled with my helmet strap. Yeah, complicated. He nodded knowingly, eyes narrowing against the sun. Family always is. Just remember, you've got another family here. He gestured to the guys on the field, all mud-stained and yelling through plays. For a moment I felt it, belonging. And when the rumors started spreading about why I'd been gone, my teammates had my back without hesitation. They didn't need details. Just knowing they were ready to stand between me and the whispers, it meant more than I could say. Then, a week after Miss Patel's visit, Uncle Travis got a call. I was halfway through dinner when he put down his fork, his face going pale. Vanessa's run away, he said. My own fork clattered against my plate. What do you mean, run away? Where would she even go? My brain scrambled, friends' houses, distant relatives, maybe Malik. He frowned. Your dad thinks she might be with him. I barked a laugh, sharp and bitter. After he cheated on her and gave her STDs? No chance. But even as I said it, a knot twisted in my stomach. Vanessa was unpredictable. And Dad had been right. 2 days later, police found her holed up at Malik's apartment. She screamed at them, refusing to come home. Because she was 17, legally she didn't have to. That technicality hit me harder than any punch she'd ever thrown. Dad sounded exhausted when he called. She's welcome back if she agrees to therapy and house rules. That's it. And if she doesn't? I asked quietly. His sigh filled the silence. I didn't push further. Life shifted again. I split my time between Uncle Travis's place and home, easing back slowly. Meals felt strange with just 3 of us, quiet, heavy with the absence of someone we weren't sure we wanted back. My room felt unfamiliar, like a museum exhibit of my own life. Weeks passed. My injuries healed, football season wrapped up, and Christmas lights began twinkling across the neighborhood. Just when I thought things had settled, she came back. It was between classes. I felt eyes on me, sharp enough to raise the hairs on my neck. When I turned, there she was. Vanessa. She looked thinner, dark circles carved under her eyes. Her clothes hung loose, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail that did nothing to hide how drained she looked. "Hey," she muttered, barely audible over the hallway noise. My body tensed, scanning for hidden threats, familiar faces, anyone she might have dragged into another setup. But it was just her. "What do you want?" The words came out harsher than I meant. "Can we talk?" "Just a minute." Books clutched tight to her chest like a shield. Against my better judgment, I followed her into an empty classroom. The smell of chalk dust and faint teenage sweat clung to the air. I leaned against the doorframe, keeping the exit within reach. She caught me looking. "You think I'm gonna attack you?" She tried to smile, but it crumbled. "Wouldn't be the first time," I said flatly. She flinched. "I guess I deserve that." Her fingers traced circles on the desk beside her. After a long silence, she finally said it. "Malik kicked me out. He's back with Jasmine." The words dripped with bitterness, her pride fractured. I didn't know what to say. "I told you so" would have been cruel, even after everything. She looked down at her sneakers. "I've been staying with friends, but I want to come home." Her voice cracked just enough to catch me off guard. "That's up to Mom and Dad." My tone was stiff. She nodded, jaw tightening. "They said therapy and some residential program after New Year's." She stopped herself, then spat. "It's bull. I don't need to be locked up." I shook my head. "It's not prison, Vanessa. It's treatment." She rolled her eyes. "Whatever. They also said I have to apologize to you, so sorry, I guess." Something inside me snapped. "You guess? After years of beating me down, sending guys to put me in the hospital, and that's all you've got?" My voice rose, heat flooding my face. Her eyes blazed. "Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I was jealous that everyone always loved you more. I'm sorry I'm so messed up that the only way I know to deal with anything is to hit something." For the first time, I saw past her rage, saw the hurt, the insecurity, the chaos twisting her from the inside. Her chest heaved, eyes glassy. For a heartbeat, she looked like a scared kid. My anger drained. "I never wanted them to love me more," I whispered. She wiped at her face furiously. "Well, they did. They do. And now they're sending me away because they don't want me." Tears betrayed her, slipping free despite her efforts. "That's not true. They want to help you." I stepped forward, then froze, not sure if I should. Her laugh was bitter. "Help me by getting rid of me? Yeah, okay." The bell rang, voices filling the hallway outside. She brushed past me, her vanilla perfume sharp against the musty classroom air. "Tell Mom and Dad I'll do their stupid therapy if it means I can come home for Christmas." That night, I told my parents. The 3 of us sat at the kitchen table, steam rising from dinner plates gone cold. Mom twisted her wedding ring, tears brimming. "We've been trying to reach her. Her phone's off." "Do you think she means it? About therapy?" I asked quietly. Dad rubbed his forehead, exhaustion carved into every line of his face. "I don't know. We've heard promises before." Mom's voice trembled. "The program has a good reputation. 3 months minimum. Trauma, anger management. We can't fix this on our own." I pushed food around my plate, no appetite left. "She thinks you're sending her away because you don't want her anymore." The words landed like stones. Mom's tears spilled over. "That's not true. We love her. We don't know how else to help." And for the first time, I wondered if love would ever be enough. The next day, my phone buzzed against my thigh in the middle of history. "Vanessa, can you pick me up after school? Need to grab some stuff from home." I read it under the desk, heart thudding a little faster. Was this legit? Or another trap with a pretty bow on it? That evening, I showed Uncle Travis the text while he stirred onions and garlic in a skillet. The whole kitchen smelled warm and sharp, comfort food and warning bells all at once. "I don't like it," he said, knife pausing mid-chop. "Could be another setup." "I don't think so." I leaned against the counter, pretending to be more certain than I felt. Yesterday she seemed different. Like the fight had drained out of her. "Different how?" He tilted his head, blade still hovering over a half-diced pepper. "Defeated, maybe." I shrugged. "Smaller." He wiped his hands on a dish towel, decision settling over his face. "I'm coming with you." We waited in the school lot after last bell, the car heater roaring against the December cold until the windows fogged slightly. Vanessa walked out alone, backpack slung low, surprise flickering when she spotted my uncle riding shotgun. Little clouds of breath puffed from her mouth as she climbed into the back. "What's he doing here?" she asked, dropping her bag with a thud. "Moral support," I said, easing into the slow river of cars. Salt crunch sang under the tires as we rolled out. The drive was quiet, the kind of quiet where your brain fills in everything you're not saying. As soon as we got home, she headed upstairs. Drawers opened, shut. Hangers scraped. The house felt like it was holding its breath. 20 minutes later, she came down with a duffel that looked ready to explode at the seams. Just clothes and stuff. I'm staying at Skylar's tonight. Your parents know you're here? Uncle Travis asked, leaning back against the counter like a bouncer who'd learned manners. I texted Mom. She's at work. Vanessa hitched the bag higher. Keys jingled in her pocket. She turned to go, and a small orange prescription bottle tumbled out, rattling across the tile straight to my shoe. I bent, picked it up, and read the label. Not her name. These are Dad's pain meds, I said, stomach dropping. From his back surgery. Vanessa lunged for it, face flushing. Give it back, it's not what you think. My uncle stepped between us, calm as a traffic cone in a hurricane. Then what is it, Vanessa? Her expression crumpled. I can't sleep. I have nightmares. Her shoulders sagged like the words weighed 100 pounds. These aren't sleeping pills, I said, sliding the bottle into my pocket. And they're not yours. Fine, keep them. She shouted, tears streaking fast. You've taken everything else from me anyway. The front door slammed so hard the frame shivered. Through the window, I watched her storm down the sidewalk, wiping at her face, the winter sun already tilting toward evening and throwing long, bruised shadows across the thin crust of snow. That night I lay awake, headlights sweeping the ceiling every few minutes. You've taken everything else from me anyway. Had I? I told the truth and finally defended myself. Since when did boundaries make you the villain? Morning came with a call from Mom. Her voice was soft, frayed at the edges. Vanessa had come home late, asked to talk, and for the first time actually talked. Hours at the kitchen table. Jealousy. Anger. Abandonment. Tissues piling into a soggy mountain. She agreed to start therapy right away, Mom said, hope tucked carefully under her words. Not just the residential program. Sessions with Dr. Bailey start tomorrow. That's good, I said, trying to keep the caution out of my voice and not entirely succeeding. Do you believe her? Mom asked. It felt different this time. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But the orange bottle was still sitting on my nightstand like a neon reminder of the line she'd been willing to cross. Over the next week, the updates trickled in. 3 sessions with Dr. Bailey. She participated. She did homework. She came straight home. Helped with chores. 0 blow-ups. The house apparently had a new soundtrack, quiet. It's like she's a different person, Dad told me when he swung by to pick me up for dinner, the first one with all of us since everything detonated. His eyes looked less haunted. For once, the worry lines on his face were just lines. You sure this is a good idea? I asked as we pulled into the driveway. The house looked ordinary, porch light, wreath, the works, but knowing she was inside made my chest tighten. Dr. Bailey thinks it matters, Dad said, cutting the engine. He watched me, ready to bail if I said the word. I swallowed and nodded. I want things to get better. Inside, Mom set plates while Vanessa stirred something on the stove. She glanced up and offered a small, careful smile. Her hair was pulled back neatly. A plain sweater instead of her usual all-black armor. The wooden spoon dripped sauce onto the burner with little hisses. Hey, she said, voice steady but quiet. Hey, I answered, just as careful. Dinner was civil. We stuck to weather, school, Uncle Travis's new girlfriend. Not one word about CPS or therapy. The clink of silverware filled the spaces where the past usually roared. After we cleared the table, Vanessa approached. Can we talk? In private. Dad gave me a nod like, you've got this, and disappeared into the kitchen. We took the living room. I sat in the chair, she took the couch and worried the edge of her sleeve between 2 fingers. Dr. Bailey says I need to make amends, she began, eyes on the fabric. Not just say sorry, name what I did and how it hurt you. I waited. The coffee table felt like a small fence between us, useful and unfair. I was awful to you, she said, voice shaking. For years I hit you. I humiliated you. I sent those guys to hurt you. I lied. She finally looked up. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to know I understand. I'm trying to change. My throat tightened. Why? I asked. Why did you do it? She took a breath like she was about to dive. Part jealousy. You were good at everything, school, friends, sports, and people liked you right away. I felt like I had to work twice as hard for half the notice. She twisted her sleeve tighter. And instead of facing that, I took it out on the person who was there. On the person I could. Her voice broke on could. We talked. Really talked. Childhood. Pressure. How our parents love differently. The million small moments that calcify into something ugly when you leave them alone too long. It wasn't magic, nobody cried happy tears and hugged it out while violins swelled. But a window cracked open in a wall I'd thought was solid brick. For the first time, reconciliation felt possible. Fragile, sure, like glass in winter, but possible. And as I sat there, I realized the real test wasn't this conversation. It was coming fast, wrapped in twinkle lights and family expectations, with 3 words that could make or break everything. Home. For Christmas. As Christmas crept closer, the house almost felt normal again. Ornaments shimmered on the tree, Mom's holiday baking filled the air with cinnamon and sugar, and even Vanessa seemed steady. She went to therapy without protest, admitted maybe the residential program could help, and for the first time in years, the tension eased enough that I actually exhaled at home. But 2 days before Christmas, everything shattered. I came back from last-minute shopping, arms full of bags, only to see red and blue lights flashing across our snow-covered lawn. Police cars sat in the driveway, their lights pulsing against the darkening sky. My stomach dropped as I rushed inside. Mom was crumpled on the couch, sobbing while an officer scribbled in his notebook. The smell of pine from the tree mixed sickeningly with the acrid cold air from the open door. What happened? I demanded. Where's Dad? Where's Vanessa? Mom's face was blotchy, eyes swollen. Your father's at the hospital. Vanessa, she took his car. She'd been drinking. There was an accident. The bag slid from my hands. Is she okay? Is Dad okay? The officer's voice was calm, practiced. Your father has cuts from pulling her out of the wreck. Your sister, she's in surgery. No seatbelt. Hours blurred after that. Uncle Travis drove us to the hospital. Dad was waiting in the lobby, his hands bandaged, clothes still streaked with blood and smoke. The antiseptic stung my nose, mingling with the metallic tang clinging to him. I saw her take my keys, he said hollowly. I followed in your mom's car. I tried to catch up but I was too late. He stared down at his bandaged palms, red seeping through the gauze. We waited forever. The clock ticked loud enough to feel cruel. Every time a doctor walked by, my chest seized. Finally one stopped, scrub spattered, mask dangling. She's stable, he told us. Fractures, internal bleeding, concussion. But she's young. With therapy, she'll recover. Relief hit like a wave, though guilt and anger churned underneath. When we finally saw her, she looked tiny against the machines. Casts, bandages, tubes, so unlike the storm I'd known her as. I stood frozen at the end of her bed, torn between pity and resentment. As we left the ICU, an officer stopped my parents. We found these. He handed over an evidence bag. Inside, several prescription bottles. One of them was the exact orange vial I'd caught her with weeks ago. She had alcohol and prescription substances in her system, he explained. Once she recovers, there will likely be charges, DUI, theft of medication, unlicensed driving. Mom gasped, tears spilling fresh. Charges? She needs help, not punishment. Dad turned to me, eyes weary. Did you know about the pills? I nodded slowly. I caught her trying to take yours. I thought Uncle Travis told you. He did. We thought we'd found them all. Dad pressed a hand over his eyes. Doctors said she's been abusing them for months. Suddenly, so much made sense. The rages, the roller coaster highs and lows, the sudden progress that never lasted. Christmas came and went under hospital lights. A small tree twinkled at the nurse's station, almost mocking in its cheer. Vanessa stayed sedated, her body too wrecked to wake. On December 27th, she opened her eyes. Confused. Broken. Alive. The next day, I went alone. She was propped up in bed, leg in a cast, bandages everywhere. Machines beeped steadily. She wouldn't look at me when I came in. Hey, I said, setting a small gift bag on the table. Late Christmas present. She eyed it suspiciously. Why would you get me anything? Her voice was rough, scraped thin. Because you're my sister, I said simply. And because you'll need something to pass the time. Inside was a sketchbook and pencils. She flipped through the blank pages, paper whispering. You used to draw all the time, I reminded her. Remember those superhero comics you made? You swore Pixar stole your idea. A tiny smile cracked her face. The Incredibles ripped me off. For a second, I saw the girl I'd grown up with. Silence settled, softer this time. She traced the edge of the sketchbook. I really messed up, didn't I? Yeah, I said. But you're still here. That's something. She looked away. They're sending me to rehab. Then maybe that residential program or juvie. Her voice was flat, resigned. One day at a time, I told her, echoing Uncle Travis. Tears filled her eyes. Why are you nice to me after everything? I thought about it. Because holding on to anger just makes me like the person you were. And I don't want to be that. She swallowed hard, nodding. I don't want to be that person either. When I walked out into the winter night, the air bit sharp in my lungs, but for the first time it felt like hope. Fragile, messy, uncertain hope. Uncle Travis leaned against his truck, breath fogging. How'd it go? I pulled in a deep breath, the words solid in my chest. Okay. I think we're gonna be okay. He clapped my shoulder, warm and steady. One day at a time, kid. And for the first time in years, I believed him. The weeks after Christmas blurred together in a haze of hospital visits, legal meetings, and long days where normal life tried to creep back in. Vanessa's body healed slowly, casts, crutches, bruises fading to yellow, but the emotional wreckage was harder to mend. I split myself in two, half of me at school and football training, the other half at her bedside. Sometimes we talked, sometimes we didn't. I'd just sit while she filled page after page of the sketchbook I'd given her. At first, her drawings looked like storms trapped on paper, harsh lines, twisted faces, jagged chaos. But as the weeks passed, the edges softened. Houses appeared. Trees. Even a portrait of us all together on the porch, smiling like some alternate reality version of our family. Dr. Bailey says art therapy helps me process, she murmured one afternoon, shading the window frames of that house. Her pencil scratched gently, steady. January slipped into February. When she was discharged, the judge's decision landed, inpatient rehab instead of juvie, followed by residential treatment. Strict but merciful. You got lucky, I told her the first time I visited the rehab center. It was brighter than I expected, more college dorm than hospital wing. I know, she said, eyes lowered. Dad's lawyer really came through. And for once, she didn't smirk. She meant it. At home, things shifted too. Mom and Dad finally admitted how years of denial had scarred us all. They started marriage counseling, stopped pretending everything was fine. One night over hot chocolate, Mom's voice broke as she told me, "We should have protected you." I'll never forgive myself for not seeing it sooner. I wanted to ease her guilt, so I said, "I'm okay now." But we both knew okay was still a work in progress. By March, my room felt like mine again. Posters swapped out, new ones on the walls. Window cracked open, letting in cool spring air. It smelled like change. Then April arrived, and with it, Vanessa's return. 2 weeks at home before her residential program, our trial run. The day she came back, my nerves were electric. Mom's text, she's home. She's resting. Both soothed and spiked my anxiety. When I walked in after practice, the house was quiet, almost reverent. I found them in the kitchen, Mom, Dad, and Vanessa playing Uno of all things. Dad was actually laughing. For a moment, it didn't feel like our family, it felt like the family I used to wish for. Vanessa looked different. Her hair tied back neat, circles under her eyes gone, jeans and a plain t-shirt instead of her old black uniform. She was healthier, calmer. Like a weight had shifted off her shoulders. For a few days, things held steady. But on the fourth night, I woke to muffled sobs slipping through the walls. The red digits on my clock glared 2:17 a.m. I froze, listening. The old me would have stayed put, praying she'd quiet down. But this new chapter? It felt like a test. I padded down the hall, the floor cool under my feet. Stopped at her door. Knocked softly. Vanessa, you okay? The crying halted. A long pause. Then, I'm fine. Her voice was thick, broken. I rested my hand on the knob. Can I come in? Another pause, then softer, if you want. Her room was dim, nightlight casting shadows that stretched across her walls. She sat cross-legged on the bed, wiping her face quickly. Her sketchbook lay open, showing 2 kids holding hands, us. Bad dream? I asked, stepping in carefully. She nodded. About the accident. I keep seeing Dad's face when he pulled me out. He looked so scared. I sat on the edge of her bed. The mattress dipped, making us lean slightly toward each other. He was. We all were. Her voice cracked as she rushed the words out. I didn't mean to crash. I was just so angry. And the pills, everything was fuzzy. I couldn't think straight. I know. I cut her off gently. Nobody thinks you did it on purpose. I let my hand rest on her shoulder. She didn't flinch. She tugged at a thread on her blanket. Dr. Bailey says I can't change the past, but I can decide what I do next. Good advice, I murmured. Her eyes lifted, red-rimmed but clearer than I'd ever seen them. I'm trying. It's just hard. I nodded. Yeah, but you're not alone this time. The silence that followed wasn't heavy, it was full. Full of things unsaid but finally understood. For the first time, I didn't just hope we might be okay. I believed it. Not perfect. Not fixed overnight. But okay together, walking forward instead of backward. And that felt like enough. They call me paranoid, dramatic, unstable, but they don't see the notes on my doorstep, the voices through the phone, or the footprints outside my child's window. Tell me, would you call that paranoia or survival? If this made your day easier, make mine better with a quick like and subscribe. Thank you. The first time I held my newborn son, I thought that moment would be the happiest of my entire life. But the truth? It was the beginning of a nightmare I never could have imagined. My wife Anna, she had begged me to start a family. She made me believe she wanted this just as badly as I did. And foolishly, I believed her. I still remember the day we got married. She dragged me straight to the hotel room she decorated with roses and balloons, the whole fairy tale setup. I thought, wow, this woman really loves me. 3 weeks later, we were staring at 2 pink lines. At first, she was glowing with excitement. We spent weekends flipping through baby catalogs, arguing playfully over names. It felt like we were on the same page. But there was one thing that kept gnawing at me: Anna didn't have close girlfriends around here. The few friends she had were far away, and her co-workers weren't exactly supportive. I thought a mom-to-be needs her village, right? So I tried to help. I signed her up for this local women's group that met at the library. I figured it would be harmless. I couldn't have been more wrong. The woman who walked back into my arms after that first meeting wasn't the same wife I dropped off. Normally, she'd run into my arms, kiss me, laugh in that way that made me melt. But this time? Her eyes, there was a flicker of pure hatred before she forced a smile. She told me she loved the group, and I wanted so badly to believe it was good for her. But deep down, I had no idea I just opened the door to chaos. Every Tuesday and Thursday, it became her obsession. After a few months, she came home grinning ear to ear, gushing about how excited she was for our baby girl. I laughed and gently reminded her we didn't know the gender yet. That's when she froze, face deadly serious. There's no way I'd ever bring another man into this world. I thought she was joking. I even chuckled. But then she gagged like the idea of a son made her physically sick. My stomach dropped. Anna, I said, boy or girl, it's our baby. That's what matters. She turned away, scrolling on her phone, and when I tapped her shoulder, she whipped around and hissed, "Don't you dare. You wouldn't understand, you're one of them." Those words felt like a knife. Who was this woman? Desperate, I called her sister, hoping for answers. Her sister admitted Anna had always been easy to manipulate, falling in with the wrong crowds. She promised me if anything went wrong, their family would step up for the baby. That gave me some comfort, until the ultrasound. At 20 weeks, the tech cheerfully announced, "It's a boy." And Anna, she snapped. She shoved the wand away, shouting, "Check again." "You're wrong." The poor technician looked terrified. Anna lunged at her, and I had to hold her back. Security escorted us out. I was shaking the whole drive home. When the day came to deliver, I wanted joy. Instead, I heard my wife's screams grow even louder when the nurse confirmed another boy had entered the world. My boy, my beautiful son, Leo. I cried with happiness when they placed him in my arms. Anna? She held him at arm's length, expression cold, as if he were something vile. Once we got home, I told her the plan. Your family offered to take Leo for a while. Without hesitation, she said yes. She actually seemed relieved. They'd be there in an hour. I figured she'd spend this last bit of time bonding with him. She took him upstairs for a nap. But then, I heard him crying. Something in me panicked. I ran up, shouting her name, but the door was locked. My chest tightened, I knew something was wrong. I pounded, kicked, finally smashed the door open. What I saw still makes me sick. Anna was lying on top of Leo. His tiny face was bruised, his cries faint. She looked up at me, calm as ever, insisting it was an accident. But I had seen too much. When her family arrived, I shoved Leo into their arms and told them to leave to keep him safe. You almost killed him. I roared, my voice cracking. Her response? A smirk. Typical male. Always blaming the woman for things she can't control. I couldn't hear anything after that because I checked the baby monitor footage. And there it was, proof. She had locked the door. She had laid on top of him with her eyes wide open. It wasn't an accident. It was planned. And that's when the real nightmare began. Week 1 began with me stuffing Leo's little clothes into a diaper bag, my hands trembling so hard I could barely zip it shut. Anna stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching me like I was some stranger in her house. She didn't say a word. Didn't offer to help. Just stared. When her parents arrived, her mother rushed forward and scooped Leo out of my arms. He was still whimpering, his tiny body mottled with those awful bruises. Her father glanced between us, pale and shaken, before ushering them out. They promised me they'd keep him safe, but the silence in their voices said it all. That night, I couldn't bear to sleep next to her. I moved into the guest room. By morning, I was at the hardware store buying locks. Every door in the house changed. While she was at her Tuesday meeting, I installed them myself, sweat dripping down my back as I worked. I also backed up the baby monitor footage, tucking the drive into my car like it was gold. Something told me I'd need it. When she came home, I could feel the storm brewing. She marched straight to Leo's nursery and started ripping his things apart. Toys into boxes. Animal decals shredded from the walls we'd decorated together. I stood in the hall, frozen, until she whirled around, eyes wild. This room needs to be cleansed of his presence. By Thursday, nearly everything of his was gone. I came home from work to find her loading boxes into her car. Where are you taking those? I demanded. She ignored me, slammed the trunk, and drove off. Later that night, I realized the baby monitor's SD card was missing. My stomach twisted. The footage gone. Friday morning, I found her note on the counter. Her handwriting was steady, deliberate. The custody situation will be corrected sooner than you think. No child should be kept from their mother. My hands shook as I dialed her parents. They reassured me Leo was doing better, eating more, gaining strength. They'd set up shifts so someone was always with him. Still, I couldn't shake the dread in my chest. Week 2 began with the hiss of air leaving tires. All 4 of mine slashed. Rubber shredded like paper. A flyer flapped under the windshield wiper, handwritten in that same tone I'd seen on Anna's group social media. Misogynist, child abuser, patriarchal oppressor. I called the police. The officer was sympathetic but shrugged. Without proof it's her, there's nothing we can do. So I paid for a tow, dealt with insurance, and missed work. My boss was livid. That evening, exhausted and furious, I came home to find Anna at the counter, calmly chopping lettuce. Rough day? She asked, without even looking up. I bit my tongue and locked myself in the guest room. From the kitchen, her humming floated through the walls, some eerie tune I didn't recognize. It made my skin crawl. The flyers didn't stop. They appeared under my windshield at work, stuffed in the mailbox, taped to our front door. Always the same accusations, the same poison. I started photographing each one, building a file. Every time, I caught her smirking when she thought I wasn't watching. Week 3 delivered the blow I'd been dreading. Early Monday morning, a knock at the door. A process server handed me a thick envelope, legal papers. Anna had filed for sole custody, accusing me of kidnapping Leo, branding me as violent, controlling, a danger to my own child. Every word was a lie. The panic set in immediately. I spent 3 days scrambling, calling lawyer after lawyer, until I finally found one who specialized in father's rights. Wednesday, I sat in his office and laid it all out, the baby monitor backup, photos of the flyers, the vandalism. He leaned back in his chair, brows furrowed. This is good, he said, but we'll need more. Hospital records, witnesses, medical documentation. Anything that proves you're protecting your son. So Thursday, I did just that. I drove to the hospital and pulled every record from Leo's birth. The nurses had documented Anna's words, her refusal to hold him, her rejection of having a boy. Then I went to his pediatrician. Not only did the doctor confirm Leo was thriving with his grandparents, but he'd also photographed the bruises from that first week. He wrote a letter. That letter became my lifeline. Friday was the emergency hearing. The courtroom was cold, marble echoing with every step. Anna sat across from me, dressed like she was auditioning for sainthood, conservative dress, soft makeup, her lawyer whispering in her ear. When the judge, an older woman with steel gray hair, asked why immediate custody was necessary, Anna's lawyer stood. My client believes her son needs his mother's care. The father has kept him away, showing a disturbing pattern of control. My lawyer rose slowly, steady as stone, and laid out the evidence, the hospital notes, the pediatrician's letter, the vandalism photos. I watched the judge's eyes flicker over each page. Finally, she spoke. A full custody hearing would be scheduled, but Anna's request for immediate custody was denied. The gavel struck. Anna shot to her feet, heels clacking like gunshots as she stormed out. Her fury echoed down the marble halls. And I knew this wasn't over. Week 4 lulled me into thinking maybe things were finally cooling down. I slipped into a routine, work during the day, evenings spent at Leo's grandparents' house, then back home to crash in the guest room. Anna and I barely exchanged words. But on Thursday night, just after 2 a.m., my phone jolted me awake. It was her father. His voice was frantic. "The alarms are going off, something's burning in the kitchen." I didn't even grab a jacket. I threw on clothes and flew out the door. By the time I got there, they'd managed to put out the flames. A dish towel lay on the stove, blackened and smoldering. The fire investigator who came later shook his head, said it looked deliberate. The burner had been turned on, the towel placed there intentionally. No fingerprints. No trace. When I dragged myself home around 4 a.m., Anna was lying in bed, fully dressed, wide awake. I asked her where she'd been. She yawned, stretched, and muttered, "Couldn't sleep. Went for a drive." But when I checked her car later, the hood was cold as ice. Week 5 brought something new. My phone buzzed nonstop, dozens of anonymous texts, all from a prepaid number. Each one accused me of abuse, of weaponizing patriarchy, of stealing Leo. The wording was all too familiar, straight from the posts I'd seen on her group's page. I didn't reply. Instead, I saved every message, screenshot after screenshot. Saturday, I decided to hunt. I drove to every corner store in a 10-mile radius, asking about security footage. By sheer luck, I found it. Anna on grainy CCTV, handing over cash for a prepaid phone. 3 days before the messages started. The shop owner let me film the footage on my phone. Another piece of evidence for the folder. Week 6, she shifted tactics again. This time, it was her cousin Lily, barely 20, still a psychology undergrad. Lily wrote a glowing statement to the court, claiming Anna had suffered postpartum psychosis the night she hurt Leo, but had since healed after deep self-reflection. She even posted about it online, bragging about helping Anna's case. I screenshotted it before she deleted it. When I confronted Anna, she smirked. "Lily's studying psychology. She knows what she's talking about." I told her Lily wasn't licensed, not even close. Anna's smile widened. "The judge won't care about that detail." Week 7 nearly broke me. Her group launched a fundraiser for a mother wronged by her abusive husband. Donations poured in. Hundreds, then thousands of dollars. And then Anna crossed a line I didn't think she'd ever dare cross. She posted a photo of her arm covered in a deep bruise, implying I'd done it. But I recognized that bruise instantly. She'd gotten it moving heavy boxes 5 days earlier, stubbornly refusing my help. I had the hospital paperwork to prove it, time-stamped while I was at work with witnesses. I sent everything to the fundraising platform, filing a formal complaint. Within 24 hours, her account was frozen for fraud investigation. That night, the rage poured out of her. She hurled plates across the kitchen, screaming about injustice, shards flying across the tiles. I locked myself in the guest room, phone pressed to my ear as my lawyer's voice grounded me. "Document everything. Stay calm. Don't engage." So I did. Week 8, court again. This time, Anna walked in flanked by her sister-in-law Sarah, who ran a local mother support group. Sarah's eyes held sympathy, like she believed Anna's story. I knew I needed to break that illusion. During the break, I walked up silently and handed Sarah a USB drive. She frowned, confused, but slipped it into her bag. 20 minutes later, she returned to the courtroom pale as a ghost. She leaned into the bailiff, whispering urgently. Moments later, she was sworn in. Her voice shook as she testified. She had just watched the footage. She'd seen Anna deliberately suffocate Leo. And worse, Anna had called her afterward, begging her to cover it up with a story about postpartum psychosis. Sarah said she refused then, but Anna told her she'd find another way. The judge ordered an independent child safety evaluation immediate. Anna's lawyer erupted, but the gavel slammed, overruling. Week 9, the evaluator made a surprise visit to Anna's new apartment. What they found, it chilled me. The room meant for Leo had been twisted into some kind of protest art gallery. Slogans smeared across the walls: "End male tyranny." "No more sons." Magazine cutouts of baby boys defaced in angry red paint. The evaluator's report was scathing. Concerns about Anna's mindset, her ability to safely parent a boy, documented in black and white. Week 10 was the most terrifying yet. It was a quiet Sunday at her parents' house, the family gathered for lunch. Anna showed up unannounced. She smiled, played sweet, told them therapy was helping. She just wanted to hold Leo. Against their better judgment, they relented. She cooed over him, fed him a bottle, even changed his diaper. For a brief moment, she looked like a normal mom. But then her father spotted her hand slip something into the diaper bag. White powder. Crushed medication. He grabbed her wrist and shouted for his wife. Anna yanked free and bolted. In her panic, she clipped a neighbor's car as she sped off, leaving behind broken glass and paint streaks. The neighbors witnessed everything, calling police before she even cleared the street. But Anna was gone. And the walls of this nightmare just kept closing in. Week 11 shattered the uneasy rhythm I had built. The police finally filed criminal charges, reckless endangerment for the medication incident, and hit and run for the car she clipped when she bolted. The evidence had stacked up so high even her lawyer couldn't deny it anymore. He pushed her toward a deal. Therapy, court mandated. Supervised visits only, and even those would depend on a psychiatrist's clearance after 6 months. A restraining order sealed the deal, Leo and I protected by law. By week 12, her so-called feminist group crumbled from the inside. Their treasurer discovered Anna had been siphoning money from the fundraiser long before it was frozen. The betrayal cracked their solidarity wide open. One by one, members admitted they believed her lies. Their social media feeds turned into apologies, directed at me at Leo. The harassment that had poisoned my daily life for weeks stopped overnight. Some even messaged me privately, confessing the disturbing things Anna had said in meetings about not wanting a son. Week 13 was the turning point. The final custody hearing. The judge reviewed it all, every piece of evidence. The baby monitor footage. The fire investigator's report. The pediatrician's letter. The attempt with the crushed medication. Anna's psychiatric evaluation. It was laid bare, every crack in her mask. The judge's voice was steady, unwavering, full legal and physical custody to me. Anna could only request limited contact if she could prove stability through therapy, long-term and sustained. Her words still echo in my head, the child's safety must come first. By week 14 I could finally breathe. I packed up the last of Anna's belongings, painted over the shadows in Leo's nursery with soft yellows and greens, colors of safety and light. His grandparents helped move his crib back into place, baby gates went up at every stairway. We built a new routine, Sunday dinners filled with laughter, Leo passed from arm to arm surrounded by love. Even Anna's sister started coming with her kids. And Sarah, once fooled, showed up, tears in her eyes, whispering apologies for not seeing through Anna sooner. Anna, meanwhile, was in counseling. By week 20, her therapist filed a progress note. She was showing up, beginning to acknowledge her role. She'd even written a letter of apology. My lawyer sent it over. One night, I read it aloud to Leo as he curled against me, eyes wide and serious, though too young to understand. I tucked the letter away, thinking, maybe one day he'll want to read it himself. The court allowed short, supervised visits at a neutral center. Anna came once, holding him stiffly for 20 minutes while the social worker kept watch. Then she left. 6 months after it all began, Leo took his first steps. It happened at his grandparents' house after dinner. I knelt on one side of the living room, his grandparents on the other, all of us calling his name. He looked between us, grinned and stumbled forward, straight into my arms. We erupted with cheers. His grandmother cried, clutching her chest. That night, when Leo was asleep, I sat in my car and deleted the final backup of the baby monitor footage. I didn't need it anymore. Justice had been done. My son's life didn't need that shadow hanging over it. We were free. But peace never lasted long with Anna. The following Tuesday, I got a call from her therapist, Dr. McNicholas. She sounded nervous, words careful. Your wife has been making troubling statements, she said. She insists Leo was stolen. She's fixated on getting him back, no matter what it takes. My stomach turned to ice. I asked for specifics. Dr. McNicholas showed me her notes. Anna had been researching custody loopholes in other states. Talking about supporters who'd help her. I left that office with my pulse thundering. By the time I got home, I was already installing new security cameras, changing the locks yet again. I called her parents too. Her mother's voice shook. We were about to call you. Anna came by this morning asking strange questions, Leo's nap times when we take him to the park. It felt off. The next few days were silent, suffocating. I checked the cameras every night, waiting. Nothing. Until Friday. My phone buzzed with a motion alert. Anna at my front door, trying key after key. When that failed, she circled the house, tugging at windows. I called the police, my heart racing as I sped home. By the time they arrived, she was gone. But she'd left something taped to the back door, a manila envelope. Inside, printed screenshots from parenting forums. Posts written under fake names, asking for advice on how to reclaim a child from an abusive father. The replies were chilling, people urging her to move states to document fake evidence to build a new case. That weekend was supposed to be joyful, Leo's first birthday. We kept it small. Just family, a few close friends, balloons, cake, laughter. Anna wasn't invited. But the morning of the party, her presence was felt anyway. A giant teddy bear and balloons appeared on the porch of her parents' house. Tucked among them, a note scrawled, "For my baby boy. Mommy loves you." Her father wanted to toss it all. I stopped him. No, I said. We keep everything. We document. At the party, as Leo smeared frosting across his cheeks and his cousins clapped, I couldn't shake the crawling feeling of eyes on us. When I stepped outside, I saw it. Her car, 3 houses down. She was sitting inside, binoculars in hand. I walked over, knocked on her window. She rolled it down, smiling sweetly as if she hadn't just violated a restraining order. Just wanted to see my son on his birthday. Is that such a crime? My voice was steel. You're breaking the law. You need to leave. Her smile snapped into something cold. You can't keep me from him forever. A mother's love always finds a way. She drove off, but those words clung to me like smoke. That night I barely slept. Week 11 ripped open a fresh wound. Anna hired a new lawyer, one notorious for aggressive custody battles. He filed a motion claiming her mental health had dramatically improved, demanding unsupervised visits with Leo. And she didn't come empty-handed. 3 separate therapists had written glowing letters of support. Not Dr. McNicholas, of course. Anna had been therapy shopping, bouncing from office to office until she found professionals willing to put their names on what she wanted. My lawyer shook his head when we reviewed the papers. It's manipulative, but not illegal. We'll need to counter hard. So we built our case. Dr. McNicholas drafted a detailed report outlining Anna's disturbing comments about reclaiming Leo. We added the security footage of her prowling my house, testing locks, circling windows. But Anna's lawyer was clever. He argued that a mother trying to see her child wasn't a threat, but proof of maternal instinct. It made me sick. The judge set the hearing for the following month. In the meantime, Anna doubled down on her campaign. She launched a blog, A Mother's Heartbreak. Each post carefully painted her as the victim of postpartum depression, punished instead of helped. She never mentioned trying to hurt Leo, never mentioned the bruises, the monitor footage, the medication. Just half-truths stretched into sympathy bait. And people bought it. Comments poured in. Mothers shared their own custody battles, their struggles. Anna replied to everyone, weaving herself into a net of supporters. Then came the magazine request. A local parenting publication wanted to feature her story of recovery. My lawyer warned me not to fight it, said it would only fuel her narrative that I was controlling. So I watched helplessly as Anna posed in a staged nursery, cradling someone else's baby for photos. The article hit stands 2 weeks later. The headline, Local Mother Fights to Reunite with Son After Mental Health Crisis. There was even an old photo of Leo from his first week of life, before everything collapsed. And me? I was cast as the cold, unforgiving husband who abandoned his wife instead of helping her heal. My phone exploded, texts from friends, co-workers, even strangers calling me heartless. Someone leaked my work email. Harassment flooded in. My boss called me into his office, voice tight with concern about the company's reputation. I wanted to scream my side of the story from the rooftops. But my lawyer's words held me back. Let her dig her own grave. The truth will come out in court. Still, Anna wasn't waiting for court. She started shadowing me. Grocery store aisles. The gas station. The park where I sometimes took Leo. Always just outside the restraining order's radius. Always with her phone in hand, snapping photos. One evening, after visiting Leo's grandparents, I was buckling him into his car seat when I spotted Anna across the street. She was showing an elderly neighbor something on her phone. The woman's face twisted in shock, then disgust as her eyes darted toward me. Later, I found out why. Anna had edited photos to make it look like I was manhandling Leo. The psychological warfare never stopped. I switched up my routes, my grocery stores, my routines. But somehow, she always found me. Then came the office break-in. Papers scattered across my desk, drawers rifled through, but nothing missing. Security footage showed a woman in a hoodie and sunglasses. Her face obscured, but I knew the way she carried herself. I knew it was Anna. And a week later, I learned what she'd been after. A coworker pulled me aside, uneasy. Have you seen this? He showed me a post circulating online, photos of my workspace, zoomed in on a prescription bottle for anxiety meds I'd been prescribed since everything with Anna began. The caption accused me of being unstable, unfit to parent. The post spread like wildfire before it was taken down. My lawyer filed a complaint, but the damage was done. Anna denied involvement, of course. Her lawyer claimed it was probably one of her concerned supporters. 3 weeks before the hearing, Anna staged her most public stunt yet. A rally in the town square, banners proclaiming mothers supporting mothers. About 50 women stood with signs condemning fathers who weaponized the system. I sat in my car, watching from a distance, Leo safe with his grandparents. Anna stood at the center, tears streaking her face, telling her story. She spoke about postpartum depression, about being abandoned instead of helped. The crowd murmured, some chanted, "Bring Leo home." That's when I noticed her necklace. A locket. Inside, a photo of Leo, not just any photo, but one from his first birthday party. The one she watched from her car, binoculars in hand. Somehow, she'd gotten a close-up shot. My stomach nodded. She'd been nearer than I thought. The rally caught local news coverage. The reporter's voice dripped with sympathy as Anna spoke about stigma and a mother's love. She mentioned the upcoming hearing, pleading for the judge to see the truth. That night, my phone rang at 3 a.m. A breathy voice on the other end. Then, sing-song, chilling, Leo's room looked so peaceful at night. Blue walls. Elephant mobile. Sweet dreams, baby boy. My blood ran cold. That was his nursery at his grandparents' house. I bolted upright, checked every lock, every window. The cameras showed nothing. But when her father checked the next morning, he found footprints in the flower bed beneath Leo's window. Flowers crushed under her weight. We filed another report, but Anna already had her shield, an alibi. She'd been at an all-night diner with 2 women from her group. They swore she was there from midnight until 4. Perfect timing. Too perfect. And just like that, the line between truth and manipulation blurred all over again. My lawyer's face said it all, jaw tight, eyes full of frustration. She's building a narrative, he told me. Every time you report something, she's got an alibi lined up. Witnesses. She's painting you as paranoid, unstable. She wants the judge to think you're the obsessed one. And the worst part? He was right. I started doubting myself. Was I paranoid? Was I seeing threats where there weren't any? Then I'd remember that night, Leo's tiny body covered in bruises, Anna's cold, detached eyes as she pressed down on him. No, I wasn't imagining things. She was dangerous. And she was getting smarter. 2 weeks before the hearing, Anna crossed another line. She showed up at Leo's daycare. My heart nearly stopped when I got the call from the director. Anna hadn't tried to grab him. She just stood outside the chain-link fence during playground time, silently watching. The staff rushed the kids inside, called me immediately. By the time I arrived, she was gone. But she hadn't left empty-handed. Tied all along the fence were dozens of ribbons, pink and blue, fluttering in the wind. Each with a message scrawled across it. Leo's mommy loves him. Families belong together. Let me come home. Other parents stood there reading them, some with looks of pity, others with suspicion. The director was apologetic but firm. Anna had stayed on public property. Technically, she hadn't broken any rules. That night, when I pulled into my driveway, I spotted her car again. Only this time, she wasn't alone. 3 women from her group sat with her. They didn't get out, didn't shout. Just watched. Silent. Waiting. When I walked toward them, they rolled up the windows and crept away. The intimidation was working. I was bone-deep exhausted, constantly looking over my shoulder. And Leo could feel it. He'd grown clingy, crying whenever I left the room. Even Anna's parents were unraveling. Her mother had started anxiety medication. Her father installed a new security system. We were all being worn down by her shadow. Then came the letters. Not to me, oh no. She aimed them at everyone around me. My boss. My co-workers. My neighbors. Even Leo's pediatrician. Each one signed by concerned citizens, dripping with insinuations, that I was medicated and unstable, that I'd filed too many police reports, that I was isolating a child from his mother. Enough truth mixed with lies to make people hesitate. My boss called me into his office, sympathy in his tone but tension in his eyes. 2 employees have complained about feeling unsafe with all the drama. Maybe it's best if you take some time off until this settles. Leo's pediatrician, Dr. Patel, pulled me aside after a checkup. His voice was kind but weary. I know what's really happening. But other parents are starting to ask questions. They don't want their kids in the waiting room with yours. Fear spreads faster than truth. And Anna was using it like a weapon. 1 week before the hearing, the bottom dropped out. I came home from the store, arms full of groceries, and froze. My front door was ajar. I called 911, heart hammering, then pushed inside. The house wasn't trashed, but it was combed through. Drawers pulled open. Papers rifled. Photos shifted slightly from their places. Only one thing was missing, Leo's stuffed elephant. The one he couldn't sleep without. The police found no signs of forced entry. No broken locks. No windows jimmied. And the worst part? My cameras had gone dark an hour before I left. Someone had hacked the system. That night, Anna's blog lit up. A photo of her holding the elephant, tears in her eyes. The caption gutted me. Found this at a donation center. My baby's favorite toy, discarded like he never mattered. This is what happens when fathers get custody, they erase the mother completely. The post went viral in her network. Hundreds of comments poured in, praising her intuition, demanding justice. Someone even started a petition calling for the judge to review the case. 1,000 signatures in 2 days. My lawyer's voice was calm but firm. She's playing the long game. But we have the truth, footage, medical records, witnesses. Don't let her break you. But she already was. I was unraveling. Sleepless nights. 15 pounds gone. My hands shook constantly. Work was slipping through my fingers. Friends drifted away, unsure how to help. Anna wanted me isolated, unstable, broken. And she was close to winning. 3 days before the hearing, I couldn't take it anymore. I packed Leo's things and left. We went to stay with an old friend 2 towns over. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere Anna didn't know. My lawyer approved. It shows you're protecting Leo, prioritizing his safety. But Anna found us in less than 24 hours. I still don't know how. Maybe she'd planted a tracker on my car. Maybe someone in her network spotted us. But as I sat in the park, watching Leo toddle toward the swings, there she was. On a bench across the way. Feeding ducks. Watching. She didn't speak. Didn't move toward us. Just sat there, her presence loud enough to crush the air from my lungs. I scooped Leo up, packed our things, and left immediately. But her message was clear. There's no escape from a mother's love. The night before the hearing, I couldn't eat. My stomach was in knots, my mind running circles I couldn't escape. Leo wouldn't sleep either, he sensed my fear. I paced his room, holding him close, whispering lullabies that came out shaky and broken. This was it. Months of fighting, of documenting, of surviving. Anna had twisted a clear case of child protection into a battle of narratives. And she was winning hearts everywhere but where it mattered most. At 11:47 p.m. my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tomorrow, everything changes. Sweet dreams. I didn't sleep at all. Dawn broke gray and heavy. I dressed Leo in his nicest little outfit, packed his diaper bag with trembling hands. Dropping him at his grandparents' house felt like leaving behind a piece of myself. His grandmother hugged me tight, whispering, "You're doing the right thing. We know who Anna is. The judge will too." God, I hope she was right. Because I knew, if Anna got even one sliver of unsupervised time, we'd lose him. She'd vanish with her network, raise him on her lies, and I'd never see my son again. The courthouse towered over me like a cathedral of judgment. Through the glass doors I saw her, Anna, already inside. Surrounded by supporters, dressed like the perfect grieving mother. Her eyes locked on mine across the lobby. And then that smile. The same cold, satisfied smile I saw the night she hurt Leo. Inside the courtroom, the divide was stark. Her side, a sea of whispering, nodding women. Mine, just my lawyer and a handful of family. I felt small, outnumbered. The bailiff called us to rise. Judge Martinez strode in, stern, thorough, known for being fair. My pulse hammered in my ears. Anna's lawyer leapt up first. Passion poured from him about mother's rights, second chances. He brandished letters from Anna's new therapists, praising her remarkable recovery. He painted her as resilient, redeemed. My lawyer countered hard. He presented Dr. McNicholas's report, documented every escalation, the break-ins, the harassment, the stolen elephant. I felt hope spark, until Anna's lawyer dropped his bombshells. Sworn affidavits from the diner women. Security footage proving Anna was there during the night of the terrifying 3 a.m. call. A tech expert claiming her viral blog post came from a public library, not her personal device. The judge called a recess. I stumbled into the hall, breath ragged. Anna stood in the center of her circle, playing the victim to perfection. Supporters stroked her hair, wiped her fake tears. One woman sobbed into her shoulder. My lawyer pulled me aside, voice low. This isn't going well. She's built reasonable doubt around everything. Back in court, the questions turned on me. Judge Martinez pressed about my anxiety medication, about why I'd taken Leo out of town. Every answer I gave, Anna's lawyer pounced, twisting my words like knives. I felt like I was drowning, gasping for air in a courtroom that wasn't mine anymore. Then Anna took the stand. She was flawless. Tears at all the right moments, her voice breaking when she said, "My son." She admitted to mistakes, poor judgment, she called them, but framed them as desperation. A mother's love misunderstood. She even apologized for the elephant incident, claiming she found it at a thrift store and just got emotional. The judge's expression softened. My heart sank into my shoes. When asked about the twisted nursery, the protest art she'd painted in rage, Anna had another rehearsed answer. Art therapy, she said gently. A way of processing trauma. She smiled sweetly. Claimed she'd already painted it over, readying a warm, welcoming nursery for Leo's visits. And in that moment I knew. She was winning. The judge announced she would review all evidence and issue a ruling within a week. My stomach turned. As we filed out, Anna brushed past me. She leaned close, her breath brushing my ear. See you soon. That week was torture. I barely left Leo's side. His grandparents and I doubled down, new locks, more cameras, tighter routines. But Anna's shadow lingered. Her mother confessed one night that Anna had been asking about Leo's passport. Where it was kept. Whether they'd ever taken him to get one. Then Thursday came. My lawyer called. His voice was flat, grim. The judge is granting her supervised visits. 2 hours. Every Saturday. At the court-appointed facility. The world tilted under me. But, I started. The evidence wasn't enough, he cut me off. The judge believes Anna deserves a chance. Supervised, controlled, but a chance. I'm sorry. I hung up the phone, numb. Anna hadn't won completely. But she'd won enough. Enough to wedge the door open. Enough to get her hands on Leo again. And deep in my gut I knew, this was just the beginning. Saturday came faster than I could brace myself for. I dressed Leo in his favorite little dinosaur shirt, kissed the top of his head, and drove to the visitation center with my stomach twisted into knots. The facility was cold and clinical, white walls, cameras in every corner, a social worker already waiting at the door. And then I saw her. Anna. She looked like she'd stepped straight out of a parenting magazine, soft pink dress, hair curled in gentle waves, the picture of maternal grace. The social worker reached for Leo. My boy clung to me, wailing, arms outstretched. It's okay, buddy, I whispered, forcing a shaky smile. Daddy will be right here. I was ushered into a separate room, left to watch through a one-way window. Anna knelt on the floor, holding out toys, singing songs in a saccharine tone. But Leo wanted none of it. His eyes darted around the room, searching, calling for me. After 20 minutes of tears and thrashing, the social worker had to end the visit early. Anna's face as she walked out haunts me still. Not sorrowful. Not disappointed. Furious. The mask had slipped. She wasn't just losing her son, she was losing control. The following visits unraveled the same way. Leo cried until he hiccuped. Anna grew frustrated, snapping at him at the social worker. After the third failed visit, she accused me of poisoning Leo against her, filing a motion that I was coaching him to reject his mother. At the same time, the harassment roared back to life. Tires slashed. Anonymous calls to my job spiking again. A false CPS report accusing me of neglect. Investigators came to my home, combed through my life, only to find nothing. But the damage wasn't in the findings, it was in the constant fear. 3 weeks into visitation, Anna made her boldest play yet. Halfway through the session, she suddenly clutched her stomach, gasping, claiming she was in agony. The social worker rushed to call an ambulance. And in that chaos, Anna lunged. She grabbed Leo, bolted for the door. Security caught her at the exit, Leo screaming in her arms. Police were called immediately. For the first time, there was no doubt. No alibis. No manipulated stories. The entire incident was captured on security cameras. Anna was arrested for attempted kidnapping. Her supporters scrambled, trying to spin the story online, but cracks split wide open. Some of her own network turned on her, admitting they had ignored the warning signs. At her arraignment, her lawyer argued temporary insanity, claiming the separation had broken her. But the judge wasn't swayed. Bail was set high. And this time, even her own parents refused to pay it. Then came the real shock. When police searched her apartment, they uncovered chilling evidence. Notebooks filled with Leo's routines, maps with routes highlighted, even a fake ID with her photo but another name. She hadn't been desperate, she'd been plotting. Preparing to vanish with him. Her feminist group officially disbanded. Former members began speaking out about how Anna had tried to recruit them to make false reports against me, how she bragged about manipulating therapists to say what she wanted. The truth was finally crashing down on her. The criminal trial was swift. The footage, the testimonies, the evidence, it all painted the same story. Anna was convicted of attempted kidnapping and criminal harassment. Sentenced to 2 years in prison with mandatory psychiatric treatment. And in that courtroom, the mask fell off for good. As the sentence was read, Anna shot to her feet, screaming across the aisle at me. You'll pay for this. I'll get him back. He's mine. The bailiffs dragged her out as she thrashed and cursed. With Anna locked away, life slowly pieced itself back together. Leo stopped waking up screaming at night. He grew more independent, less clingy, his little laugh filling rooms again. We carved out a rhythm, visits to his grandparents, playdates with his cousins, dinners filled with normal toddler chaos. Anna's parents carried heavy guilt. Her mother started therapy, desperate to understand how she'd missed the signs for so long. But they never once wavered in their devotion to Leo. They became his anchors, determined to give him the stability their daughter never could. 6 months into her sentence, a letter arrived, not from Anna directly but through her lawyer. She wanted to sign away her parental rights in exchange for me dropping the civil suit for damages. Her lawyer explained she'd been diagnosed with multiple personality disorders. The prison psychiatrist believed she would never be safe around Leo again. I didn't hesitate. I signed the papers. And within weeks it was done. Anna was no longer Leo's legal mother. Final. Irreversible. Leo was safe. For the first time since this nightmare began, I could finally breathe. The day the papers were signed, something inside me shifted. I took Leo to the park, let him run free under the sun. He laughed as he chased pigeons across the grass, his tiny sneakers slapping against the pavement, his joy echoing like music. A woman nearby smiled warmly, said, "He's adorable. Where's his mother?" For a second I froze. Then I just said, "It's just me. I'm a single dad." It was easier than trying to explain the storm we'd weathered. That night, after Leo drifted to sleep, I sat in his room, watching his chest rise and fall. The elephant mobile Anna once described in that chilling late-night call was gone, replaced with spaceships that glowed faintly in the dark. The walls weren't tainted with slogans or shadows anymore, they were plastered with finger-painted masterpieces from daycare. This was Leo's world now. His sanctuary. I thought back over everything, the fear, the exhaustion, the endless vigilance. But also the love. The family who stood by us. The strength I didn't know I had until I had to find it. The unshakable bond that kept me fighting. Leo would grow up without his biological mother. But he would never grow up without love. Anna's parents had already promised they'd be there to help explain things when he was older. We'd tell him the truth, carefully, honestly. That his mother was sick. That none of it was his fault. That he was wanted, cherished, and safe. For now though, he was just a toddler, learning new words, giggling at shadows, delighting in pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. That night I closed his door gently and went to bed. And for the first time in over a year, I slept. No jolting awake to check locks. No scrolling through camera feeds at 3 a.m. No heart racing at every creak in the house. Just sleep. When morning came, I woke to Leo climbing into bed with me, chattering about pancakes. His little hands tugged at my shirt, his voice bubbling with excitement. I carried him to the kitchen. As I whisked batter, he played with measuring cups, banging them like drums, laughing so hard he nearly toppled off his chair. I flipped a pancake into the shape of a dinosaur, his current obsession. He clapped, syrup already smeared across his cheek, flour dusting the counter. And in that sunlit kitchen, with my son's laughter filling the air, I realized, this was it. Our new normal. Simple mornings. Safe nights. A future wide open with school, sports, friends, everything Anna had tried to steal from him. He'd face challenges, sure. Questions about his past. Confusion about a mother he wouldn't remember clearly. But he'd never face them alone. He'd face them with me. With family who had proven time and time again that we would protect him no matter the cost. I looked at him across the messy table, his grin sticky with syrup, and for the first time I believed it. We were home. We were safe. We were family. Thanks for watching. Today's train wreck is over, but tomorrow's ride is already on track. Subscribe so you don't miss it.